You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here, right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review Friday Night SmackDown and AEW Rampage from March 11th, 2022. Overall, I thought this week's SmackDown was kind of lackluster, to be quite honest with you. There was not really a lot of things that were, to be quite honest with you, like, important that happened on the show. Really, the only interesting thing on the show was really the opening segment with Brock Lesnar chasing the crap out of Paulie dangerously, or Paul Heyman, I should say. But overall, SmackDown was really not that good of a show. AEW Rampage, on the other hand, I really enjoyed Rampage this week, but if you compare it to other Rampages, really, this week's Rampage was not really all that special. But we did have some pretty good matches, of course. We did have Shane Strickland, or Swerve Strickland, I should say, or Isaiah Swerve Scott, whatever you want to call him, taking on Tony Nese in the main event. Swerve Strickland's very first match in All Elite Wrestling. So I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on that. But before I get on with both the SmackDown and Rampage reviews, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. All right, let's get on with SmackDown. SmackDown, of course, opened up with the WWE champion Brock Lesnar, who defended his title this past Saturday at Madison Square Garden, in which we saw the Bloodline and Roman Reigns attack Brock Lesnar. WWE hyped the hell out of this this whole thing, this whole MSG house show, and the reason why they were mentioning it on television, and I've stated this before and I'll say it again, the only reason why WWE was mentioning this whole Madison Square Garden house show is because of the fact that the Madison Square Garden house show was really tough to sell tickets. I mean, they were really struggling in selling tickets. So WWE really needed to sell the whole thing on not only social media, but on television on both Raw and SmackDown. And they were hyping this up like crazy. You know, we did not know who Brock Lesnar's opponent was going to be. A lot of people were literally speculating on who Brock Lesnar is going to face. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's going to be Cody Rhodes." It wasn't Cody Rhodes. It was none other than Austin Theory, which, by the way, was kind of a disappointment, to be quite honest with you. I mean, like, out of all the things you could have hyped, you hyped up Brock Lesnar versus Austin Theory. Of course, Brock Lesnar is going to go over. It makes absolutely no sense. But Brock Lesnar kicks off SmackDown, states that Roman Reigns needs to change the rules because for the last 6 days, he took his ass out of bed and looked into the mirror. He shows the scar from the attack this past Saturday inside Madison Square Garden. Says, "You don't draw first blood on Brock Lesnar, and you live to tell about it. He is here for blood tonight. He doesn't care about WrestleMania contracts. He doesn't care about WWE titles." He screams after that, and I mean he screams. Like, you heard a voice crack. I got to rewatch it, but I heard a voice crack, and he screams, like, out of nowhere, "Roman, get your ass out here." That was actually pretty funny. He continues to call him out, but Paul Heyman, of all people, come out. Of course, he is the special counsel and the former advocate of Brock Lesnar and the current special counsel of Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman comes out. He tells that, of course, he tells them to take the temperature down or slow the temperature down. He asks him to listen to him, and he got bled by the Bloodline, and he got smashed by the Tribal Chief. And he says, Brock Lesnar states that he wants the Tribal Chief, and says Roman Reigns is not here this evening. Says he knows Brock better than anyone in the face of this planet. He knows Brock better than anybody. That's what I basically mean. I messed up my notes right there. But Brock, immediately after that, tells Paulie to shut up. And then Paul states that Roman is not here to protect Brock Lesnar. And then Brock says that if Roman Reigns is not here tonight, who is going to protect him? That being Paul Heyman. And then Paul Heyman has that scared look on his face. And, bro, I'm not going to lie. This is actually pretty funny. I love the way Paul Heyman, like, just dipped. He dipped. Like, as soon as he said that, Paul Heyman ran. And I swear to God, man, Brock Lesnar ran like crazy. For a guy his size, This guy ran so fast. I kid you not, man. He ran so fast, but then Brock runs into security, but he beats the crap out of security. But unfortunately, Paul Heyman escapes and leaves with the car. So, yeah, that was the opening segment of SmackDown. Really, again, that was the only thing that was interesting on this entire show. Really, nothing else was interesting on the entire show, to be quite honest with you. But we did get a name change. We got a name change, and this was a bad thing. This is a bad thing, and I'm going to talk about that right now, right here on the SmackDown review. Rich Holland and Sheamus, we got a backstage interview with both of them. They talk about destroying the New Day's ATV this past week, or I should say last week. It says that they brought someone along. So the person that comes in is Pete Dunne. But they do not call him Pete Dunne. They call him Butch. Yes, it is official. WWE has ruined another NXT wrestler, that being Pete Dunne, by changing his name to Butch. And what are my thoughts on this? Look, as someone that doesn't watch NXT, I mean, I shouldn't say anything, but like, Jesus Christ, I watched a couple of NXT, and bro, Pete Dunne was one of those wrestlers that were just fantastic in the ring. You know, he was really good at what he did, man. His match with Walter at TakeOver New York was off the charts. But the fact that, you know, they had to change his name to Butch, this is what I can't understand. I can't understand that NXT is on the same network as Raw, but it's not canon with Raw and SmackDown. It kind of is now, but at the same time, it's not, because of the fact that Pete Dunne was still wrestling on NXT 2.0. Meanwhile, you had guys like Dolph Ziggler feuding with Tommaso Ciampa, and Dolph Ziggler is now the NXT champion, right? But NXT is on the same network as Raw. Granted, SmackDown's on Fox, but whatever. The average WWE, you know, audience would watch all three shows, and they would recognize Pete Dunne as Pete Dunne. So if NXT is on national television on the same network as Raw, and you bring him up to SmackDown on the Fox on Fox, I mean, like, why the hell did you change his name to Gunther? I mean, not Gunther. I'm getting flashbacks of Gunther. Good God. Why did you change his name to freaking Butch? It makes absolutely no sense. It's really stupid. The incompetence of these people. I mean, like, I don't know. There's no reason that there was no reason for you to change Pete Dunne's name into Butch. It's absolutely really dumb, man. I don't understand. It's ridiculous. I mean, if it ain't broke, do not fix it. Pete Dunne was the perfect name for Pete Dunne. And he was dominant in NXT. I mean, he was one of the longest reigning, not the longest. I believe the longest reigning NXT UK champion was Walter when he was with Imperium. But let's be straight up. He was one of the longest reigning UK champions in the company. And the fact that you had to bring him up to the main roster, and this is not his first main roster appearance, I might add. This is not Pete Dunne's first main roster appearance. His actual main roster, his first ever main roster appearance was actually back in 2017, where he was the UK champion. I think it was on a Raw that was in the UK, so it got a huge pop. But then he went back down to NXT. It was not a call up at all. He was just like a special guest on there. But still, I mean, like, it's really dumb that they had to name him, like, you know, Butch. This is definitely such a Vince McMahon thing, and I guarantee you it was definitely Vince McMahon or somebody in Vince McMahon's team that literally just decided to change his freaking name to Butch. And Butch is not even a good name. Like, really, of all things, you named Pete Dunne Butch. I mean, talk about lack of creativity. All right. We get the New Day versus Sheamus and Rich Holland. This match is, I don't even want to like talk about this match because of the circumstances and what actually happened in this match, especially near the end when it comes to Big E, because Big E did officially get injured in this match, but I'll still go through the match. The match starts. Sheamus is in control over Kofi. Holland tags in. We get a side headlock by Kofi. We get a shoulder tackle by Rich Holland. We get a back elbow by Kofi after that. Sunset flip by Kofi, but then Holland drops the knee. He sends Kofi into the corner, but then Kofi fires back with a drop kick. We get a cover and a near fall. Big E then tags in. Sheamus then tags in. Then Big E immediately goes after Sheamus with repeated rights and stomps. Sheamus fights back. He hits a kick. We get a side headlock by Sheamus. We get a back elbow by Big E. Sheamus goes to the apron. He fights back with a couple of rights. He goes for his 10 beats on Big E. We get a cover and a near fall. He works on Sheamus on the outside. Kofi then takes out Ridge to the outside. Big E misses the splash on the apron, as he usually would do, but he missed it this time. Sheamus then gets the knees on Big E. Once we're back from commercial break, Rich Holland is legal and works on Big E. Big E goes for his belly-to-belly suplex after that. At this point, the hot tag is made. Kofi is in control. We get a diving clothesline by Kofi. We get a running kick and a boom drop by Kofi. Then Kofi at this point takes out Holland. He hits the SOS after that. We get a cover into near fall when Rich Holland interferes. Then Big E then takes out Holland on the outside, but then Big E instead is the one that falls on the outside. And this is the spot that I want to talk about. So Ridge Holland, he hits a belly-to-belly suplex on the floor on Big E, and Big E landed really badly on his neck, and a lot of people got so worried about him. Officially, he actually really did break his neck. I believe that is the report, and the outpouring love and support that Big E has gotten is insane, and it's great, man, because that is a nasty spot, to have in a wrestling match, especially if you're 4 weeks away from WrestleMania. And now Big E most likely is not going to be competing at WrestleMania because of this freaking injury. But that was a really nasty spot, and that's what actually led Big E to, I believe he broke his neck. Correct me if I'm wrong. I got to go look back at the reports. But Big E did officially break his neck, and this is not good at all. This was a really bad spot. A lot of people say, blame Ridge Holland and all that stuff. But at the same time, in wrestling, stuff happens. I mean, Chris Jericho, of all people, would say, like, this would be a happy accident. And accidents do happen in wrestling. And unfortunately, this was the case. Hopefully Big E can recover from this, definitely, because of the fact that, injuries like this always suck when it comes to a lot of wrestlers. And, bro, this could have literally been worse. This could have literally been a career-threatening injury for Big E. But thankfully, Big E most likely is going to recover from this. But again, man, that spot was absolutely brutal, and hopefully Big E recovers in the near future. So we get a roll-up by Sheamus and a near fall. Kofi then drives Sheamus down to the mat. He goes to the top, but then Butch comes in. Sheamus goes for a boot on Kofi. We get a cover by Sheamus and Ridge Holland win the match. And then Butch attacks Kofi after that. Great match, really, but not that special. And really, I don't even want to call it great considering, what happened in this match and what happened with Big E. So hopefully, again, Big E recovers from this because of the fact that this whole thing with Big E and this whole injury and the way that he landed, it was not good whatsoever. We get a video package of Steve Austin accepting Kevin Owens' invitation to be at the Kevin Owens show at WrestleMania. We get a backstage interview with Sami Zayn. He talks about Johnny Knoxville, leaking Sami Zayn's phone number. Sami is pissed on how they can't show the number on the show. Says that he has done zero preparation for this match, and he's actually not worried. No matter what is thrown at him, he will overcome it, just like how there was a massive conspiracy theory against him, and it led him to regain, the Intercontinental Championship. He proceeds to talk about Ricochet, says that he is not that good, and he won because of Johnny Knoxville. That was a fantastic opening match that opened last week on SmackDown, but unfortunately, Johnny Knoxville came in. I do understand that it was to build for their match at WrestleMania, but again, man, it would have been so much better if it was just a clean finish. That's just me. But it says that Sami Zayn states that Johnny is not here, and he will face Ricochet and will regain his Intercontinental Championship. Drew McIntyre is set for a tag team match, but Baron Corbin, Moss, Jinder Mahal, and Shanky attack the Viking Raiders, who were Drew McIntyre's tag team partners. Then after that, McIntyre, or I should say the heels come out. Shanky and Jinder come out first. So I don't know why Shanky and Jinder are paired with Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss. These are the jobbers right here. This is your new version of 3MB, people. But Corbin comes. McIntyre proceeds to take out Shanky and Jinder. Corbin then comes in and looks scared as hell. McIntyre continues to attack Jinder, which gives Corbin the opportunity to take out McIntyre. Then all of the heels take him out. Then they send McIntyre to the post. McIntyre then fights back and then takes him out. Corbin then is left scared at the end. So really, I'm going to ask you this right now. Does this really bring you guys interest for this match at WrestleMania? I'm going to be 100% honest with you people right now. This whole feud between, Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin should not have gone as long as it's going, man. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous that we still have this feud and they're officially going to have a match at WrestleMania. That is the best match that you have with Drew McIntyre, a match with freaking Happy Corbin of all people, a jobber. Yes, I call him a jobber because he is. I mean, it makes no sense. Same thing as Sasha Banks, and I'll talk about her later. Why is she put in a women's tag team championship match? It's Wrestle freaking Mania we're talking about, and you do not have a high profile match for Sasha Banks. I mean, come on now. That is absolutely stupid and ridiculous. Here's one segment that I really did not like either. We get a Ronda Rousey segment, or I should say Ronda Rousey, and later Ronda Rousey and Charlotte segment. Ronda, as usual, she cuts the all-time worst promo in the history of wrestling, and I'm sorry, that's not a knock on Ronda Rousey personally. That is just my opinion. Again, and I constantly say this ever since Ronda Rousey came back And when she started cutting promos recently, I've always stated this. Ronda Rousey sounds like she does not want to be there. Yeah. And a lot of other podcasters are telling you that, and it's the absolute truth. Ronda Rousey does not, like, the way that she speaks so casually on the microphone, like, bruh, like, it is, to me as a viewer watching, I view this as lazy. I don't know why, I just do. And not only that, man, it's just so, like, it's just like, you need to bring more emotion into your promos. And that's what Ronda Rousey is not doing. I totally understand that the writers are the ones that give the dialogue to Ronda Rousey. But let's be straight up. Ronda Rousey needs to work with what she has, and I don't think she is. I honestly believe that, like, literally, the promo that she cut was just not that good. Because and it's not really the lines. It's the emotion that she brings. She doesn't bring out emotion at all. Really, the emotion is really zero whenever she speaks on the microphone. And I'm like, I don't know why. And I was never really high on Ronda Rousey when it came to her promos. I always thought she was never a good wrestling promo. But she always backed up a lot of the stuff in the ring. She is a fantastic in-ring performer. But let's be straight up. She is not that good on the microphone. So the first line that she states is that we are less than 1 month away from one of the biggest matches in her career against Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania Saturday, or I should say WrestleMania Night 1. Last week, she revealed her ignorance when she called her a one-trick pony and, that she can only win with an armbar. Says it's kind of like saying Mike Tyson is a one-trick pony because all he does is punch people. Then after that, she says where Charlotte sees one way to get the armbar, she sees many ways to get it. She says that she has been refining the ankle lock. She says that she can't think of another way to make Charlotte tap out again at WrestleMania. Then the SmackDown Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair, comes out, and Charlotte Flair corrects her and says that their match at WrestleMania will be the biggest fight of her life. It says that she did not tap her out last week. She had heels and a $2,000 suit. They were not competing. She took advantage of her. She guarantees that she won't tap her out, and then Ronda says that she already did. Charlotte then says that she still sees a one-trick pony and says that when she is done, she will embarrass her. And by the end, she will make her tap out. Ronda then wants to fight right here, right now, of course, as a typical babyface would want to do. And then what happens in typical heel fashion? Charlotte Flair leaves, and Ronda says that she can't escape at WrestleMania and states that she's either going home with either her arm or she is going to make her tap out. Overall thoughts on this segment. Honestly, I just do not care about this segment whatsoever. This segment was just kind of dumb. Does it bring me interest to the match between Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair? Absolutely not. The match that had to happen was Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch. But again, in typical WWE form, every year during WrestleMania season, they always do things ass backwards. But overall, am I really invested? No, not really. The segment was just not that good. We get Sasha Banks and Naomi versus Shayna Baszler and Natalya. Another match that I just really do not care of. The women's tag team champions, Zelina Vega and Carmella, are on the outside. Or I should say Queen Zelina with her UK accent. Or with her British accent, I should say. Naomi and Shayna start. Natalya tags in. We got a double team attempt by Shayna and Natalya. We got a cover by Natalya and a near fall. We got a Falcon Arrow by Natalya. We got a cover into near fall. Then Shayna tags in. Then stomps to the leg of Naomi. Then she applies the knee bar. Then Naomi gains control. We get an Enziguri by Naomi into the corner. At this point, the hot tag is made. Then Sasha goes to the top. She hits the Meteora. We get a double Hurricane Rana by Sasha herself, sending Natalya and Shayna Baszler to the outside. Sasha then goes for a Hurricane Rana on Natalya on the outside. Naomi then out of nowhere hits the crossbody after that. Natalya's in the ring. Zelina Vega and Carmella, I should say Zelina Vega, tries to make a distraction or interfere. And then out of nowhere, Natalya hits the discus clothesline. We get a cover engineer fall. But then Sasha out of nowhere hits the Meteora face first onto Natalya. And then we get a cover, and Sasha and Naomi win the match. Overall, about this match, I do not care about this match. Again, why is Sasha Banks at WrestleMania going to be wrestling for the Women's Tag Team Championships? That is so insane. I mean, like, Sasha Banks is one of your best female performers or female wrestlers in the entire WWE, and that is the best that you have for Sasha Banks. Oh, but they don't have anybody. Well, if you don't have anybody, make somebody. Make a new star, but that's what WWE is not doing. But overall, what are my thoughts on this match? I just do not care about this match whatsoever. We get a promo segment with the Usos, say that the Bloodline is now in our city, 236 days as the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, 567 days as the Universal Champion, that being Roman Reigns. Say that management did not give them an opponent for the Usos at WrestleMania. Then what happens out of nowhere? Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs comes out. They come out. Of course, they got attacked last week. I think it was last week that they got attacked, right? Yeah, it was last week that they got attacked by the Usos. It says that they are next. They are the next SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Jimmy then says that they actually want to face them at WrestleMania. And then says that, after that, Boogs sells his knee. Jimmy then says that if he beats main event Jey Uso in a match, then they will get that title shot. So we got Rick Boogs versus Jey Uso, which the match did not last long whatsoever. Jey targets the knee of Boogs. Boogs then takes out the knee of I think it was of Jey, I think it was, and is he takes the knee brace off and is 100%. So Boogs then picks up Jey and hits the delayed vertical suplex. He picks up Jey again. Jimmy goes for the distraction, but then he gets hit by Nakamura after that. We get a roll up by Jey and we get a near fall. Then Boogs hits the Boogs Cruise on Jey Uso and wins the match. And then right after that, Jimmy Uso hits the electric guitar onto the back of Rick Boogs. So now it's going to be the Usos versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs at WrestleMania. Am I excited? Not really. All right. We got our main event of the evening with Sami Zayn versus Ricochet for the Intercontinental Championship. This is actually a pretty good match. Again, I tweeted this during the match was going on. This Rematch-A-Mania is going on Friday night SmackDown. But I'm not going to lie, this match was really good. Sami Zayn and Ricochet have really good chemistry in the ring. That's just my opinion. And they had a fantastic opener, but it got ruined because of Johnny Knoxville. I would have thought it would have been so much better if you were to tell the story that Sami's just constantly having Johnny Knoxville in his head that he lost the championship to Ricochet. But instead, they had Johnny Knoxville come out physically during the match and then cost Sami Zayn the entire match with the distraction. But before we got on with the match, Austin Theory comes out. Yes, Austin Theory, Pat McAfee's opponent at WrestleMania. He sits next to Pat McAfee, but then out of nowhere, Theory slaps Pat McAfee. And then Pat McAfee attacks Austin Theory, and then, the whole brawl breaks loose between the two. So I actually enjoyed that portion of the show, or I should say that mini segment that happened during the main event. I actually really enjoyed that. And I'm not going to lie, I'm actually pretty excited to see what happens when it comes to Pat McAfee and Austin Theory. I think it's going to be a great match, and Pat McAfee did prove that he can go in the ring. I mean, he has worked a lot of I don't want to say he worked a lot of matches. He worked matches in NXT. Of course, he had that feud with Adam Cole. But, he's great in the ring. And honestly, I'm excited to see where this goes. And this is probably one of the other few WrestleMania matches that I'm actually interested in. But Sami Zayn and Ricochet starts. We get a kick by Zayn. We get a side headlock. Ricochet goes for the back or a backwards Hurricane Rana. We get a drop kick by Ricochet. Ricochet goes for a chop, and then he hits an uppercut. And then he hits another chop. Sami then catches Ricochet into a powerbomb. We get a cover into near fall. At this point, Sami Zayn is in control. We get a clothesline by Sami. We get a cover and a near fall. Ricochet then proceeds to gain control. Then we get a Hurricane Rana and a right hand by Ricochet. Then he hits a springboard clothesline after that, which looks sick. Sami then catches the knee of Ricochet, but then Ricochet picks up Sami and he drops him to his knee. Ricochet then goes to the top, but then Sami comes back. He drops Ricochet to the barricade. Once we're back from break, Ricochet misses a standing moonsault when Zayn gets the knees up. We get a cover engineer fall. We get a couple of waistlock switches by both. We get a couple of back elbows by Zayn. Ricochet goes for the reversal from a suplex into a Hurricane Rana. We get a cover and a near fall. Both then fight it out. Then we get a superplex, or not superplex, a super kick by Ricochet. Ricochet then picks up Zayn. Zayn escapes. Ricochet then gets caught from a cartwheel by Zayn, and then he proceeds to hit the Blue Thunder Bomb. We get a cover by Sami Zayn and a near fall. Then he takes Ricochet to the top. Both fight it out. Zayn then gets taken down. Ricochet later gets caught again up by Zayn. Then Sami then hits the superplex. Ricochet at the end hits the recall. He goes to the top and he hits a beautiful, and I mean a beautiful, successful 630. Of course, Sammy Guevara tried the same thing, But, of course, he missed and went through a table. But in this case, Ricochet actually made it. He actually hit successfully the 630. He hit the 630. We get a cover by Ricochet, and Ricochet retains the Intercontinental Championship. Overall thoughts on this match? This is a great match. I hate the fact that this is a rematch, but I'm not going to lie. I really enjoyed what I saw in this match. All right. Now, can we could just go on with Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville, because I just want to get through this feud and I'm done, because this feud sucks, but at least it's not for the Intercontinental Championship. Could you imagine if it was for the IC Championship? Oh my God, fans would be so pissed. They were already pissed, but still, it's really dumb. All right, in the end, Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey brawl backstage, and then, they just brawled and all that stuff. It was kind of similar to the brawl that they had back in the build of WrestleMania 35, but in this case, Becky Lynch was also involved. But does this give me interest? No, I'm just not as interested in this match. Really, to be quite honest with you, Ronda Rousey, her mic skills are just not good and just did not make me invested whatsoever. And Charlotte Flair, you guys know how I feel about Charlotte Flair. But that was my SmackDown review from March 11th, 2022. Overall thoughts on this show. This was really not that good of a show, to be quite honest with you. Nothing big really happened on the show, but SmackDown, I've said it before and I'll say it again, SmackDown has gotten worse. SmackDown has become by far the worst wrestling show of the week, every week. Raw is still pretty bad, but I feel like Raw has improved a little bit. And not only that, Raw has been having some banger ass matches recently in the past couple of weeks. But let's be straight up. Raw still has the problem of constant rematches and crappy dialogue. They still have the same problems that SmackDown does. But SmackDown, SmackDown went from here all the way down to here. SmackDown is just a crappy show. It basically became SmackDown in late 2019. That's what it became. But, that was my SmackDown review. Now we're going to be going on to AEW Rampage from March 11th, 2022. Overall thoughts on this match is I actually enjoyed the show. The show was pretty good. Really, was it as special of an episode of Rampage as other weeks? No. If you compare this episode of Rampage to other weeks, really, this Rampage did not have a lot of strengths. And really, there were some things about this Rampage that I'm just like, whatever. But, was it a bad show? No, it wasn't a bad show. But again, this was not the best episode of Rampage that I've seen. I've seen way better episodes of Rampage than this episode, to be quite honest with you. But overall, we had some great wrestling on the show. And, of course, it's your 60-minute adrenaline rush, as Mike Tenay would state back in 2005 on TNA Impact. But, we're going to be talking about Rampage. But before I get on with the AEW Rampage review, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. All right, let's start off with Rampage. And before I get on with the first match, one thing I have noticed for the past couple of weeks on Rampage is the fact that they cut off entrances to save time. So they cut off entrances. So they go with the intro and then the opening pyro, and then immediately they don't even show the entrances. They just go straight to the match. That can be a good thing. That can be a bad thing. I always liked wrestling matches that had entrances. Almost every wrestling match has an entrance, so I don't know why I said that. But still, it's kind of weird. Of course, I know they're trying to save time and all that stuff, but it's really weird. They've been doing that a lot more recently for the past couple of weeks on Rampage. But Rampage overall is still a good show. I actually enjoy what I watch on Rampage. But on our first match of the evening, we got Darby Allin versus Marq Quen. Overall thoughts on this match. This was a pretty good match. Of course, Marq Quen is coming off this past Wednesday on Dynamite, where him and Isaiah Cassidy turned on Big Money Matt Hardy and Andrade as well. Everybody, the AFO has turned on Matt Hardy, in which we saw, not the return, the AEW debut of Jeff Hardy, in which he came in and he was doing his little dance while his brother was getting beat up. But of course, I talked about this on my Dynamite review. If you guys haven't checked out both my Dynamite reviews and my Rampage reviews, the links are in the description below. But I will say this, man, Jeff Hardy being all elite is freaking awesome. The Hardy Boys are officially back together in AEW, and they're going to tear the house down in AEW's tag team division. All right. The match starts. Darby is in control, and from the beginning, we get a side headlock takeover by Darby. Quen goes for an arm drag, but then Darby goes for a side headlock takeover again. Darby goes for a hammerlock, then Quen gets taken down to the outside. Then Darby wants to go for the suicide dive, but then Cassidy blocks it, being Isaiah Cassidy, and Darby goes to the outside. Darby then gets taken to the steel steps. Quen then front suplexes Darby onto the top rope. And really, throughout this entire match, Marq Quen got a lot of offense. He got a lot of offense in this match, and that was actually really shocking to see. Quen is in control. He sends Darby into the corner. Quen applies the abdominal stretch. We get a hip toss counter by Darby. We get a front face lock by Quen. Then Darby counters back. He misses the coffin drop onto the apron. Then, once we're back from commercial break, both men are on the tarp rope. Then Darby hits a suplex. And we're going to cover it and a near fall. My apologies, guys. Literally, it's 11:59 at night, and I haven't uploaded these reviews yet. So my apologies right there. I'm extremely tired, but I want to get this done. We get a cover and a near fall. Darby then applies the front face lock. We get a sunset flip by Darby. Then Quen counters the backflip knee drop, and then he goes for a backflip flatliner. We get a cover and a near fall. Then Quen picks up Darby. Darby then counters into the Scorpion Death Drop. He goes to the top, but then Isaiah Cassidy is up on the apron. Sting then drops him and sends him to the Timekeeper's area. But then Marq Quen takes out Darby and sends him to the outside. Darby then hits a 450 splash on Quen. Or I should say, Quen hits a 450 splash on Darby Allin on the outside. Darby goes back in the ring. We get a cover by Quen and a near fall. He goes to the top. He misses the shooting star press. Darby applies the arm bar. Quen taps out, and Darby Allin wins the match. Then the Andrade family office come out, but then the Hardys come out for the save, and then the AFO leave the ring. So, what are my thoughts on this match? This was a pretty good match to open up Rampage. Of course, Darby Allin is always great at what he does, and this guy's going to be a megastar in my opinion. But not only that, I mean, Marq Quen got a lot of offense in this match. I'm not gonna lie. And overall, this is a pretty good opener for a Rampage. Pretty solid opener for a Rampage. Dan Lambert is backstage, and he proceeds to put over the new TNT champion, Scorpio Sky. Of course, Scorpio Sky this past Wednesday on Dynamite beat the Spanish God, the former two-time TNT champion, Sammy Guevara. And Scorpio Sky is your new TNT champion, and he proceeds to put over Sky and says that he will beat Wardlow next week. And of course he will, because of the fact that most likely MJF is going to turn on Wardlow or cost Wardlow the match. We got Mercedes Martinez versus Jamie Hayter. Both lock up. We get a waist lock by Martinez. We get a side headlock takeover by Hayter. Both lock up again. Mercedes then works on Hayter, but runs into a boot. Then she sends Mercedes into the corner. We get a boot by Mercedes. We get a couple of chops. Hayter then targets the eyes of Mercedes. Once we're back from commercial break, Mercedes goes for the Three Amigos. It looked like she was going for the Three Amigos. The commentators did not mention that, but she was going for the Three Amigos. But then on the final Amigo, she hits a double underhook suplex, which looked really nice. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a backbreaker later on by Jamie Hayter. We get a cover and a near fall again. Mercedes then runs into a right hand by Hayter. Then she suplexes Hayter into the corner, landing Hayter into the bottom turnbuckle. Then Hayter takes Mercedes to the top rope. Then she hits a German suplex, a spider German suplex, as Excalibur would state on commentary, off the top rope. Then Britt Baker comes in to attack Mercedes without the referee looking, because of the fact that Rebel is distracting the referee. Then we get a lariat by Hayter. We get a cover, and Jamie Hayter beats Mercedes Martinez. And then all of a sudden, Thunder Rosa comes out with the chair for the save, and that's that. Of course, this is to build up for the steel cage match that is going to be happening this Wednesday on Dynamite on TBS at St. Patrick's Day Slam. And that is definitely 100% going to be the main event of the entire show. And I'm definitely excited to see what happens in that women's steel cage match, because, again, I love the storyline aspect of, a year ago at St. Patrick's Day Slam, we tore the house down not inside, but in a non-sanctioned lights out match. And now 1 year later in the same event, we're going to be facing each other off in a steel cage. I just love that long-term storytelling. And I think this is going to be the night in which Thunder Rosa wins the AEW Women's World Championship. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but I'm definitely excited for that particular match. We get a video package with Hikaru Shida talking about Serena Deeb. And then we get Keith Lee versus QT Marshall. Of course, Keith Lee is in action. We get a headbutt by Keith Lee. He takes QT up to the top, but QT escapes. QT then works on Lee. Lee goes for a double overhand chop, and then he throws Lee across the ring. Or I should say, he throws QT across the ring. QT is on the apron. We get a cutter, and then he goes to the top. He hits a drop kick. We get a cover and an immediate kick out by Keith Lee. We get a couple of right hands by QT Marshall. Keith Lee no-sells it. Keith Lee goes for a lariat on QT. He picks up QT, but then Nick Comoroto grabs the knee of Keith Lee. We get a super kick, and then we get an enziguri by QT. Then Lee catches QT attempting the diamond cutter. We got a shoulder tackle. We got a power slam, and then we get a cover and a near fall. Aaron Solo from the factory then tries to interfere in the match, but then Lee hits the overhead hand throw. Comoroto comes in. We get a couple of right hands by Lee. We get repeated rights by Nick Comoroto, and then we get a back elbow. But then it gets caught by Lee and hits a powerbomb, and he throws Solo to the outside. Ricky Starks and Hobbs come in. They attack Lee, and we get a spine buster by Hobbs after that. So, Lee wins the match. He beats QT Marshall, and there was, of course, a whole brawl happening. Overall thoughts on this match. This was a pretty short match. It was a good match. Of course, Keith Lee had to go over. It makes absolutely no sense for Keith Lee not to go over and lose to freaking QT Marshall. But overall, this was a great match. I mean, it was not the best match, but it was a great match, and it got the job done, in my opinion. All right, we got the main event of the evening with Swerve Strickland versus Tony Nese. These guys have a lot of history together, and the commentators were mentioning this on television, which they had a lot of history together on Friday nights, which is hilarious. But this was really good. Of course, this is Shane Strickland or Swerve Strickland or Isaiah Swerve Scott, whatever you want to call him. It's his first match in All Elite Wrestling, and overall, he did really well. I mean, I remember the first time I saw Isaiah Swerve Scott in NXT with Hit Row. I instantly was like, dude, this guy is going to be a future superstar, and this guy will be he will be a future WWE champion. And it sucks what happened to Hit Row, because Hit Row is actually really unique in my opinion. They got called up to the main roster and they started releasing everybody one by one. But overall, when it comes to this match, Shane looked great. Tony Nese, the premier athlete, looked great. I miss his WWE theme song, by the way. I actually really enjoyed his WWE theme song. Oh, yeah, whatever. I'm a bad singer. But man, the match starts. We get a wrist lock by Swerve. Then Tony goes to the outside. We get a wrist lock by Tony Nese. We get an arm drag, and then we get a hip toss by Swerve. We get a chop by Tony, and then he sends Swerve into the corner. We get a Hurricane Rana. We get a running drop kick by Swerve. Swerve then gets taken to the outside, but then lands on his feet. Tony then tries to go after Swerve, but misses badly. And then we get a heel kick from the apron by Swerve. Swerve then gets caught on the apron, but then Tony attacks him. Once we're back from commercial break, Tony goes for the body scissors. And then he goes, both exchange shots. We get repeated rights by Swerve. We get a right hand and a body shot. We get an uppercut by Tony Nese. Tony then misses the springboard moonsault. And then he takes him to the corner. We get an elbow drop to the back of the head of Tony Nese by Swerve Strickland. Then he takes down Nese. We get a brain buster by Swerve. We get a cover and a near fall after that. Then we get an uppercut by Nese when Swerve is on the top. We get a kick by Nese. And then he flattens Swerve to the mat. We get a cover and a near fall. And then Swerve then gets taken to the apron. Swerve then out of nowhere goes for a sunset flip, but then Nese hits a spinning heel kick. We get a 450 splash by Nese. We get a cover and a near fall. Then Tony Nese pushes Swerve. We get a couple of boots by Swerve. And then Swerve counters Nese in a tombstone position. Nese then goes to the apron. We get a thrust kick, but then Nese goes to the apron. We get a double foot stomp by Swerve. We get a running face plant by Swerve. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a running kick by Swerve. Swerve then goes to the top. He hits the double stomp, and then we get a cover. 1, 2, 3. And Isaiah Swerve Scott, Shane Strickland, Swerve Strickland officially wins this match. Overall, this was a great main event. A really good match. Tony Nese is great at what he does. Not only that, Shane Strickland or Swerve. I keep getting confused. Shane or Swerve? Swerve Strickland is really good at what he does. And, dude, this guy is going to be a future superstar. And I definitely do see AEW treating him with the proper respect that he deserves. But yeah, that was my WWE SmackDown and Rampage reviews from March 11th, 2022. Overall, I thought SmackDown was not really that good of a show. Rampage was a good show, but in my opinion, it was not really one of the best Rampages, but I still thought it was a pretty good show in the long run. But yeah, man, those were my both reviews. Overall, it was an okay day for watching professional wrestling, of course. But of course, the big thing is going to be this Monday, because probably, you never know, Cody Rhodes could possibly show up in the WWE. So yeah, I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on that on the latest episode of News Shock, which hopefully I will be uploading either on Sunday or Monday. But yeah, man, that was my AEW Rampage and SmackDown review from March 11th, 2022. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here onto the Broken Havoc podcast. But as always, it is Broken Havoc, signing out.